This is Julian speaking, welcoming you to another battle report out of the breach. The Fate of Eric campaign is announced. I am so excited and will release a video about the details and the story very soon. I am busy preparing some more content, so stay tuned and see what we will release during the upcoming campaign. All links in the description down below. But for now, I am excited to welcome our Dominion player. We have some goblins who fight for the Dominion on the channel. So, this time, it's Leshavult against the Dominion. For the Leshavult fight Reagan, Klaus, Jada, Hoff, and Brother Daniel. For the Dominion fight Shabaroon, the Mortician, Ribald, the Vicious Midget, and Doug the Flatulent. Here you can see the depth of the Moonstones on the battlefield. The Dominion chose to be the early bird, and the Leshavult got the initiative and hand the first activation over to the Dominion. Turn 1. Shabaroon is first to activate and spends 2 energy to use Goblin Luck. An arcane card is dealt to every goblin in a pulse of 6 inches, and the goblins receive the following effects depending on the dealt card. On a green card they gain plus X energy. On a pink card, plus 1 energy. Nothing happens on blue, and on a catastrophe they suffer 2 wounds. Let's see how lucky the goblins get. The midget gets a blue 3 and nothing happens. Shabaroon gets a catastrophe and suffers 2 wounds. The Mortician gets plus 2 energy for a green 2, and Ribald gets nothing with a blue 1. Because of her Expel ability, Reagan can draw an arcane card every time a model suffers a catastrophe. At any time during an arcane ability, the Leshavult can add the card to their attack or defense hand. Shabaroon jogs and ends his activation with 2 energy left. Klaus spends 3 energy to harvest 3 times to get the Moonstone down to a depth of 1. And then he jogs forward. The Vicious Midget jogs in base contact with the Moonstone and harvests once to get the Moonstone down to a depth of 1. Brother Daniel harvests once to pick up the stone in front of him. Then he jogs over to the other Moonstone and harvests once to pick it up. Ribald jogs and steps twice. He can jog only 2 inches because he is slow. Reagan jogs and spends 2 energy to cast Verdant Growth. She declares a green 2. The Dominion accepts, and a wooden patch appears within 8 inches. The Mortician harvests once to pick up the stone, jogs 2 inches forward because he is also slow, and spends 2 energy to heal Shabaroon. He declares a blue 2. The Leshavult call bluff, but the Mortician was telling the truth. Shabaroon heals back to full, and the Mortician doesn't want to put down another card. Brother Daniel spends 1 energy for a reaction step. Jada jogs and steps once to be in base contact with the Moonstone, and the midget takes 2 reaction steps, 1 after the jog and 1 after the step. Jada harvests 3 times, and the Mortician takes 1 reaction step, and Shabaroon 2. Doug the Flatulent jogs and steps once to be in base contact with the Moonstone, and harvests once. Because of his Digger ability, he has to flip an arcane card, and reduces the depth by the number on the flipped card. He flips a pink 2 and can pick up the stone. Then he takes 2 steps to get over to his goblin friends. And Reagan takes a reaction step. Hoff jogs and steps 3 times. And that's the end of a usual turn 1. Both troops move and harvest. A bit of goblin luck? A very random ability with potential for an awesome or disastrous activation. Let's see how the troops collide in the second turn. Turn 2. During the replenish step, Brother Daniel shouts, "Look at the shiny thing!" Because of this ability, he can let another character within 6 inches gain +1 energy, while he is carrying 1 or more Moonstones. And Klaus gets 1 energy. The Dominion win the initiative and hand it over to the Leshavult. And Reagan spends 3 energy to cast her Malachite ritual on Hoff. She declares a green 3. The Dominion accept and Hoff gains 3 energy. Reagan jogs to get behind her friend Klaus. Shabaroon uses Goblin Luck. A pink 3 for the midget for 1 energy. A catastrophe for himself. A red 1 for the Mortician for 1 energy, and another catastrophe for Ribald. The Goblin Luck is a tricky beast. Reagan can draw 2 cards and has to discard 1 because she can hold a number of cards equal to the turn number. Shabaroon is a weakling and has to spend 2 energy to harvest once and jogs backwards. Klaus jogs over to the crates to see if a pug is charging in and ends his activation with 4 energy. The Mortician jogs and spends 2 energy to heal Shabaroon, but he doesn't want to declare a card and ends his activation with 1 energy left. Jada jogs and steps once to be within 1 inch of the crates and spends 3 energy to shoot her bow at Ribald. She has an arcane of 4, can ignore the crates because she is within 1 inch, and Ribald has an evade of +2, so she can draw 6 cards and declares a green 3. The Dominion call bluff, but Jada was telling the truth, but doesn't want to declare another card. X +1 piercing damage on Ribald, who wears a ramshackle armor to reduce the damage by 1. 3 wounds on Ribald. Doug jogs over and steps 4 times to present the Moonstone to his goblin friends. And Klaus takes 2 reaction steps. Brother Daniel jogs, stabs twice, and keeps 1 energy on him. The vicious midget jogs and uses his ability "Where'd you come from?" on Klaus. He can draw 4 cards and has to declare any pink card to be placed in base contact with the target. And he declares a pink 3. The Leshavult accept and the midget is placed in base contact with Klaus. Klaus uses a reaction step, and because he is within 6 inches of Hoff and his Guerrilla Tactician ability, he is swift and can move 2 inches when he uses a reaction step while engaged. With the fawn out of his 1-inch engagement range, the midget spends 1 energy to follow, but Klaus has still 1 energy left to use a reaction step to get out of melee again. And the midget ends his activation with 1 energy, hoping someone is willing to fight with him. Hoff jogs and steps twice, and the mortician uses a reaction step. Hoff steps to get the mortician and Shabaroon in charge distance and spends 1 energy to use his furious charge on Shabaroon. Hoff is moved 3 inches towards Shabaroon and gains +1 damage when his next action is a melee attack, and spends 1 energy to attack Shabaroon. Hoff has a melee stat of 4 +2 for the attack, but he is engaged with the mortician and Doug's Lands is poking over the crates, so -2. 4 cards for Hoff and 1 for Shabaroon. Hoff plays a sweeping cut and Shabaroon a low guard. No damage. The goblin luck works in strange ways. And Hoff spends his last energy for another attack. He plays a rising attack and Shabaroon a high guard. Shabaroon can upgrade into his signature move, Fadelmuddel, but Hoff can deal 2 damage against a high guard and can declare impact damage for another +2. 4 wounds on Shabaroon are enough to kill the goblin before he can teleport away. Nothing more to say about goblin luck. Ribald jogs over and attacks Hoff. Ribald plays a fallen swing and Hoff a rising attack. 5 wounds on Hoff because of Ribald's brute strength, and Hoff can declare impact damage to deal 3 damage, -1 for Ribald's armor, 2 wounds for the troll. Another attack, both on 4 wounds. Ribald plays 2 rising attacks and Hoff 2 fallen swings. 4 wounds on Hoff and 7 on Ribald. Both slay each other with mighty blows. What a bloody end for the second turn. Definitely a good move of the Leshavult to avoid the midget and use the pure speed of Hoff to charge in and attack the Dominion support characters. Especially when facing the mortician who is able to revive his fallen friends. A little bit of what if? But the heal of the mortician would have had a good chance to get through, because Ribald was wounded too. So maybe the mortician could have risked bluffing a blue 1 to heal Shabaroon, and threaten to heal Ribald on a wrongfully called bluff. Usually an opponent thinks twice to call bluff when facing more wounded targets on the other side. And with those 2 wounds healed, Shabaroon had the chance to survive the fight with Hoff with his Fuddle-Muddle signature and be healed and teleported away. The Leshavult have to continue their pressure because the Dominion has more Moonstones on their side of the battlefield and a mortician who is likely to revive one of his companions in the next turn. Because of his Spirit Link ability, the Mortician gains +1 energy during the replenish step for each friendly slain character. Sheberoon and Rybold are slain, so the Mortician starts with 4 energy. The Dominion win the initiative roll, and the Mortician spends 3 energy to use his Reanimate. With an arcane of 4, he is looking for any 2. He declares a blue 2, and the Leshavult accept, because it's a risky move to call bluff in this situation. 2 Dominion characters are slain, and chances are that the Mortician has another 2 in his hand to revive the second model. Now Rybold is placed in base contact with the Mortician, gets half of his wounds restored, rounded up, and has no energy, but can activate this round. The Mortician jogs a bit to the side and ends his activation with 1 energy left. At this point, Brother Daniel remembers to hold up his shiny Moonstone, and Klaus gains 1 energy. Reagan casts her Malachite ritual on Klaus. She can draw only 3 cards because Klaus is in heavy cover behind the crates. But she has a card next to her from before, because all of the catastrophes Sheberoon caused, adds it to her hand and declares a green 2. The Dominion accept, and Klaus gains 2 energy. And Reagan jogs over to the forest. The vicious midget jogs to get in base contact with Klaus and attacks. The midget gets 7 cards and Klaus 5, because he has 2 friendly cultists within 6 inches. And Klaus spends 1 energy to go for it. The midget plays a rising attack, and Klaus can play 2 fallen swings. The midget upgrades into his signature move, Groin Tickler, to deal 3 wounds. He can do that because the damage of his signature move cannot be reduced by passive abilities. So the protection on Klaus stays active, and he suffers 3 wounds. Klaus can deal 8 impact damage, reduced by 2 because of the plate armor. But 6 wounds are enough to kill the midget on the spot. Moonstone melee is crazy and fun, but sometimes the fight is over before it even starts. On the other hand, the midget is a master of loads of attacks, because every time he causes wounds, he gains energy. And he is well protected by his plate armor. So, without magic to get around the armor, Klaus just demonstrated how to deal with him. 1 mighty blow to end the fight before the armor and the energy gain of the midget can shine. Brother Daniel jogs and uses Bellringer. With an arcane of 4, he can draw 4 cards, but takes the other card next to Reagan and declares a pink 2. The Dominion accept, and all friendly characters within 4 inches heal for 2. 2 lovely bells ring in the center of the battlefield. Brother Daniel ends his activation with 1 energy left. Rybold jogs. Jada jogs and shoots at Rybold. Because of his evade +2, she can draw 6 cards and declares a green 2. The Dominion call bluff, and the green 1 is revealed. Without a catastrophe, the Dominion just switches the green 1 to a blue 1, and nothing happens. Dark jogs and steps twice. After the second step, Klaus spends 1 energy for a reaction step to engage Doug and stop him from harvesting the stone. And Doug attacks. Doug plays a high guard because he watched his little friend smashed by a fallen swing and tries to do better for the goblin cause. And Klaus plays a fallen swing. No damage for Doug, and he can play a follow-up attack and plays a rising attack. No damage for Klaus, but the protection is gone. and Doug attacks again. Klaus spends 1 energy to go for it. Doug plays 2 rising attacks and Klaus 2 fallen swings. Doug's signature, the ankle biter, has just a range of 1 inch, so he cannot upgrade and deals 2 + 1 for piercing, 3 wounds on Klaus. Klaus, with his feared 8 impact damage on a critical falling swing, are reduced by 1 because of Doug's jousting shield. 7 wounds on him and he is alive, with 1 wound. Whew. Klaus activates and attacks Doug. Klaus plays a rising attack and Doug plays 2 fallen swings. Klaus can deal 2 wounds and Doug deals 6. Doug is slain. And because of top thumping, Klaus flips an arcane card to see with how many wounds he stays alive, but flips a catastrophe and is slain. What an epic showdown battle between these two. Both of them are slain. The Mortician takes a reaction step. And that's the end of turn 3. Moonstone melee fights at its best. Let's find out what turn 4 can bring. Who harvests the remaining Moonstones before the sun comes up and everything is over? It all comes down to the initiative. Turn 4. The initiative is key in such situations, and the Leshavult gets it. Brother Daniel's shiny energy goes to Reagan. She activates, jogs, and steps 4 times to block the Moonstone and prevents the Mortician from harvesting that stone. Ribald jogs and harvests the Moonstone to pick it up. Jada can spend 1 energy for the traverse because she is sure-footed, jogs for 2 and steps twice, and can protect the other Moonstone. And that's the end of the game, because the Mortician cannot harvest any stones, and the game ends in a 3-2 for the Leshavult. What an awesome example for the craziness that's going on in a game of Moonstone. We saw the Dominion in a better position with more stones on their side, but Shabaroon's Goblin luck causing more harm with 3 catastrophes over 2 attempts, and a crucial heal on Shabaroon that not went off. The Leshavult, forced to put pressure, did good in avoiding the midget in the first place and just wiping him off the battlefield with 1 mighty blow. With all the back and forth of melee, the game stayed interesting and exciting till the end. I am really happy that our Dominion player brought his goblins on the battlefield. All the funny and random abilities, no 2 games are the same. And what an interesting combination to be able to throw the melee threats forward and sacrifice them to keep the enemy at bay and be able to revive them later on to repeat the process in the late game. I hope to see more of them in the near future. If you cannot get enough of Moonstone, check out Paul's YouTube channel. He is recording the games on the Tabletop simulator and is doing live streams on Twitch. You find an awesome variety of troops and battle reports on his channel. All the links in the description down below. You know what you can do to help the channel. Like, share, comment and subscribe, but most importantly, I want to thank you for watching. I will paint up some minis, edit more footage, and hope to see you soon for another battle report out of the breach.